Setting up this choir with people who are trans and non-binary, it's an act of resistance, but it's also joyful.
Classical music in general is very gendered and very binary in its processes.
We're taking up space, we're here to stay, and make sure our voices are heard. We set up Trans Voices, really, it was born out of London Contemporary Voices, in which both Coda and I sing.
My experience with LCV has been very much simultaneous as my journey towards defining my own identity. Even though the choir and the entire organization and all the people in it have been very kind to me, I still didn't feel like my absolute most authentic self, let's say. Anil shared a very similar thought and a very similar feeling, and we kind of discussed that realistically what could be happening is that we're probably the only people anywhere on the gender spectrum that's not one end or the other.
And at the same time as that, we'd been working with Rhys Lyons. Rhys is a good friend and a poet. We did a Women in Music concert with London Contemporary Voices at Union Chapel. Rhys experienced some really unpleasant transphobic abuse in the interval of the concert.
When I was outside, I had someone make a really extremely transphobic comment to me, and that person is now removed from the room.
She came out and addressed the audience in this most brilliant, powerful way.
My job as an artist is not to entertain you. My job as an artist is to expand the emotional capacity of my audience, and I want to emphasize the fact and the need for safe spaces.
I was kind of supporting that and watching it, and it was just this thing of like, I've been living with this, and I haven't been living my truth fully. After that happened, it felt like one of those things that I just couldn't ignore anymore. And it was really out of conversations with Coda that we started planning this. One of the reasons we set up Trans Voices was to address the lack of representation in music. Our first task for the choir is to co-create songs for our performance at Union Chapel. So this music is made in the moment, and it's using improvisation techniques we've come up with ourselves to explore our voices and connect with each other. It's amazing to hear our voices filling it up, and it just feels like more and more we're reclaiming it.
Making stuff together is beautiful, and Trans Voices making stuff together is, I think, even more beautiful. Coming out as non-binary and living truly or freely is that you start to really see how gendered the rest of the world is. Part of the reason I thought it was important to not just be out personally but be out professionally is because I'm desperate to change that.
That traditional voice separation of sopranos, altos, tenors, and basses, for the first time I experienced it when I was maybe 6 or 7, because I used to sing in a children's choir. And I was an alto at the time before my voice broke as I went through first puberty.
I was trained more on a scale where it was more appropriate for someone who was male. And I remember a singing teacher was always saying, go lower, and that was quite triggering.
It's so strange to have such gendered expectations of music when, if you look at the history of opera, it is essentially high art gender fuckery, and I really understand why people don't lean into that more.
I'm really excited about being in the same room with other trans singers and musicians, and the opportunity to create a community that's really precious to me.
My relationship with my voice is so precious to me, like it's got me through some of my hardest times. I consider my true voice to be quite androgynous. I guess hard for people to place on the traditional gender binary. I used to experience a lot of dysphoria around it, and sometimes still do. Gender dysphoria is when a person's gender identity and the sex that they were assigned at birth are in conflict with each other. And so I think with singing, you have this interplay between your singing voice, which is so precious to you, but then also something so fundamental to your identity as your gender.
The sound that I make is inherently tied to my physical self. I have been lucky enough to be able to secure how I feel about my physical body by having top surgery. There are still days that are dysphoric and horrible, but my body makes my sound, and I love that sound. And I think that sound to me is worth anything difficult that might be brought up.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
I'm really excited to see the work that the choir has created. So I'm not a part of the choir myself, but I was part of the writing process. So I created some writing exercises for the trans people in the choir to create the song itself.
Mirrors aren't the only things that can show you what you look like.
Poetry needs to have a rhythm and a kind of sass and kind of like, it's here, it's here, it's here, it's here.
It feels so exciting that we started this entire journey at Union Chapel, and now, well over 2 years later, we're finishing it there as well.
I feel amazing to be back here and feel more comfortable and confident in the space.
I'm looking forward to the exploring of my voice in a space that allows it to be as expansive as it wants to be.
How long do I still have with my voice? I feel suffocated. Honey dribbling down my chin. Lethargic, like the one kernel of sand this sea will never pick up.
I am here to reclaim my future, the scars, the uncertainty, the horror. I am here to reclaim my time, my joy. I am the monster, the mystery. I am everything they feared and more. I am trans liberation. I am here. Beautiful, ornate voices before me. All my nanas who were queer, calling out of the dark. It's
I see myself coming out of my shell. Why are we so broken? Hearing my voice, I want it to go ahead of me. I want my voice to exist in a space that is bodiless, that doesn't need anything but to drift and be free.
I feel safe, open, awake. There's joy in the pain. My voice is me. I want to feel every single breath of it without a drop of inhibition.
Reclaim, reclaim, queer, beautiful, stolen.
Sound flowing through me, pouring out back into the space. Fall back, be held in a world of sound, light, love.
Queer, beautiful, stolen. Reclaim, reclaim, queer, beautiful, stolen. Reclaim.
What is the purpose of denying our existence? My voice is the power to tear down civilizations. I'm here to reclaim everything. Queer, beautiful, stolen. If they will not let us in their cities, we will build new ones.
Reclaim, reclaim, beautiful, stolen. Reclaim.
Mirrors are not the only things that can show you what you look like.
In a way, the most important thing for me was finding a group of people who I could sing with who were like me, because I never sing in rooms with people who were like me.
This project is about coming together as a community and creating our own narrative and allowing us to be the storytellers rather than it always be looked at from the outside.
It just feels like such a safe and special space. I feel very free in this space, really free.